Welcome to my 7,000 subscribers Q&A. So recently I hit 7,000 subscribers here on my channel, and I'm so happy and so grateful that you've all decided to subscribe to my channel and watch my videos and support me in one of the most important ways that you can. I've been making bookish videos for the past, I want to say 4-ish years, and I have loved every single year of doing booktube, and I hope that I can continue making these videos because I just love having this space and community for me to talk about all of the books that I love and enjoy, and I get to spread all of my recommendations around and get recommendations from you guys as well. So anyway, I asked on both Twitter and Instagram if you all had any questions for me, and I got quite a few responses, so I will go through some of them. So a few of the first questions come from Anya on Twitter, and she asks, what's your favorite QPOC book? So when it comes to QPOC books, I have so many different favorites, and it's really hard to choose just one, so I'm going to give 3 recommendations. The first one is The Sound of Stars by Alicia Dow. This one was just so awesome, and it unfortunately flew really low under the radar for a lot of people, but I know that there are so many fans of this book that are really passionate about it, and I feel the same exact way. I was really excited to finally read like a sci-fi book that I really enjoyed. It's really hard for me to find sci-fi genre books that I love and that I connect with. I'm not even gonna lie, it's definitely because I'm not really into science, but The Sound of Stars was just really well done. It was so much fun. It has asexual representation, which I really appreciated, and I 100% recommend that book. Another one is one that I was like debating whether I wanted to reread it like literally today, and that is Dark and Deepest Red by Anna Marie McLemore, and I loved that book. Last year I read it in one day, one sitting basically, and I just devoured that book. It was so wonderful, and I need to read more from Anna Marie McLemore, but I also just want to reread Dark and Deepest Red. It was so good. And then the last one I want to recommend is Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. I loved that book so much. I just really enjoyed it. Not only is there Latinx representation, but there's also trans representation, which was super exciting to read about. And I definitely need to read Aiden Thomas's second book because I have it, I just haven't gotten to it yet, but I know I'm gonna love it. The next question is, what's something you don't miss pre-COVID? That one's kind of hard to answer because it's like there are so many things where it's like I kind of don't miss it, but then I also do in some ways. But I also don't know if that's just because it's like a nostalgia factor of like, oh, it was so nice back then, but like if I was gonna do it now, I would not want to do it. I think I really like how normalized masks have been. I actually really do enjoy wearing a mask when I'm out and about, you know, going to the grocery store or whatever. And especially when you're sick, I want that to stick around. I want it to be like, if you're sick and you're gonna go outside, wear a mask. Even if it's not COVID, just wear a mask. It's just like a nice thing to do. The third question is, do you have any siblings? And yes, I do. I am the oldest of 3, and I have 2 younger brothers. So my first youngest brother is 5 years younger than me, and then my second youngest brother, the youngest of the family, he is 9 years younger than me. So there's quite a bit of time between all of us, but we all get along, especially now. I feel like, you know, back when I was in high school, we didn't necessarily all get along very well, but now that we're much older, it all just is kind of evened out. We are really good friends now, so it all just works out in the end. The next question is, have you always loved reading? And yes, I absolutely have always loved reading. I was absolutely ecstatic when I was like maybe 4 or 5 years old and I learned how to read. I would not stop reading. I would read literally everything in sight. I remember some of my first favorite books to read, especially when I was like in kindergarten, were the Biscuit books. I'll try to put a picture up on the screen. They were about a little dog, and I loved those books so much. So yeah, reading has always been a huge passion of mine. It's never gone away. It's never been something that I picked up later in life. It's just always been constant within my life, and I love it so much. Favorite book with a queer plus size main character? That one could definitely go to The Sound of Stars by Alicia Dow as well, because the main character is not only a person of color, she is also queer and she is also fat. Another book that I really enjoyed recently was The Witch King by H.E. Edgman. That one also has queer representation and fat representation, and I really loved that book. It's kind of a contemporary fantasy, really fun, and I highly recommend that everybody read it. The next question is, what are your hobbies besides reading? And it really changes every once in a while. I'm kind of the person who likes to pick up a new hobby and I'll do it for maybe a couple of weeks and then I'll get a little bored of it and I'll move on to the next hobbies. So there have been quite a few different hobbies that I have cycled through. I've done the crocheting, which, you know, I really want to get back into. I've done a little bit of embroidery as well, and that was fun. A lot of my hobbies revolve around books, which I think is okay. I'm not like, you know, annoyed by it or anything. But besides writing or making YouTube videos or reading, a lot of my other hobbies just kind of have a very short shelf life. And then the last question is, what's a book you'd recommend to your younger self and why? This one is difficult because there are so many books that I would recommend to my younger self. And I think the one that I'd recommend the most is one I read really recently, and that's What We Don't Talk About When We Talk About Fat by Aubrey Gordon. And I just read this one, like this is the last book I just read, and I absolutely loved it. I think I could have really benefited from that book when I was a teenager, especially in high school, because I did go through a lot of like body image issues, a lot of restrictive disordered eating patterns and stuff like that. So I think I could have really benefited from a book like that that breaks down fat phobia and diet culture in a really accessible way. The next questions are from Krista, and she asks, what book do you wish had a movie adaptation? And immediately my mind goes to Stalking Jack the Ripper. I want an adaptation of that book so bad. I think personally that the guy from that one movie with Millie Bobby Brown, what is it called? The one that has Sherlock Holmes' sister, what is it called? I literally watched it the day it came out. What is it called? Anyway, the actor that plays her love interest in that movie, I think would be a really great Thomas Cresswell. Just like, he would be perfect for it. He has the right look. He had like kind of the right charisma in his acting style. And I would really love to see that book come to life. Favorite snack while reading? For some reason, especially now, I don't tend to eat while I read. But if I have to choose anything, it's definitely popcorn. I love popcorn, so one of my favorite snacks anyway. But it's less messy than anything else, and I can just like snack on it for however long, and it's really great. So yeah, definitely popcorn, but like otherwise it's either just like water or hot chocolate or iced coffee, you know, something like that. It's usually a liquid. I'm much more of a beverage person than a food person. Next question is my favorite drink from Starbucks, and oh, that's really difficult because it changes all the time. For a while I was going through like a cinnamon dulce phase, and I really liked that drink. Or like, I guess my staple would be a grande iced vanilla latte with soy milk. That is like my go-to order. If nothing else sounds good, I will just get a vanilla latte. It's my favorite drink. So I guess I have to say that one. The next question is, what book do you wish you could unread because it was terrible? Oh wow, there's so many books. Oh gosh, I don't even know. Okay, I have my answer. And it's gonna be Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo. That book mentally scarred me, and I feel like I deserve some financial compensation for reading that book, because how dare you? How dare you write that book? When I read that book, when I read that specific part of the book, everybody who's read it will know what I'm talking about. I cried so hard that my mom had to come check on me and be like, what are you doing? Are you okay? Like, are you gonna do something? Because that's how intensely I was like upset. I wish I could unread that. That should have never happened. It should have never happened. The next question is from Sabrina, and she asks, if you could turn back time, what book do you wish you could read again for the first time? So I like this question as well. Kind of very similar questions, but one is like, what book do you wish you could unread? And then another one is what book do you wish you could read again for the first time? I'm gonna go with Beach Read by Emily Henry, because that reading experience was one of my favorites of this year. It was just everything to me. It was another one that kind of broke my heart, but in like the best way possible. And I always say that it broke me and it put me back together, and that it broke me again and then put me back together. It was so good, and I don't know if I can recapture that magic if I reread it now. So I would just have to like wipe my memory and then reread it. The next question from Twitter is from Brittany, and she asks, if you could write a retelling of your favorite fairy tale, what would it be? What tropes would it have, and what genre would it be? So I actually have written a semi fairy tale retelling before, and that one is kind of a Frozen / Snow Queen retelling. It definitely takes a lot of influence from Frozen, but it is absolutely nothing like Frozen. And that one I really enjoy a lot. I don't want to talk too much about it, so maybe I should pick a different fairy tale. I would probably want to retell Rapunzel, because that is my favorite fairy tale. And I would definitely want to have some sort of enemies to lovers romance within it, which I think might be really easy to do in a Rapunzel retelling. And it would definitely be fantasy, 100%. I really love writing fantasy. It's definitely something that's on the back burner. I don't think it'll be anything that I end up writing anytime soon, but it would definitely be really fun. Okay, so on to the questions that were from Instagram. So the first question is, I was wondering how you manage stress / anxiety when you were job hunting. So job hunting is so incredibly stressful, and I feel like it's more stressful than it needs to be. I know a lot of people nowadays are like, oh, it's so easy to find a job, everybody's hiring, they will just hire you like that, and that is absolutely the farthest thing from the truth. I know so many people who are still job hunting like I am, and it is so hard. Nobody is hiring. It is literally a dog-eat-dog thing out there, because people are saying that they're hiring, but they will not call you back, they will not email you back, they will not inquire. It's been really tough to find anybody who is like interested in having me work for them. So it's really frustrating, because you keep hearing this narrative that like everybody's hiring, they'll just hire anybody, and that's just not true. I have been job hunting for the past couple of weeks, and I have gotten a couple of callbacks and a couple of interviews, but so far nothing has happened with any of them, so it's a little frustrating. And I'm definitely not being picky at all. I just haven't been able to find anyone that is the right fit for me. And unfortunately, even though a lot of people are saying that they're hiring, they're not actually hiring. They just kind of are saying that they are, which is, you know, really frustrating. So if you are job hunting right now like I am, don't get down on yourself too hard. It's not your fault. Everybody is having a huge struggle in trying to find a job right now, so you are not alone in this boat. There are a lot of other people here with you, and just keep at it. And I have my fingers crossed for literally everybody who's looking for a job right now. The next question is fave cozy vibes, book, and atmosphere. I know a lot of people will probably say that their room is like the cozy vibes that they want to go for when they're reading a book. But for me, like my ultimate cozy vibes fantasy is sitting at a Starbucks inside, you know, the heater's on, it feels so good. You're drinking, you know, whether it's a hot coffee or an iced coffee. I know even in the winter and the fall time, I do like to drink iced drinks. So for me, it'd be an iced coffee. And, you know, I'm just sitting there in my sweater and my AirPods are in and I'm reading a book, and it's raining outside, it's beautiful, it's dark and gloomy, you know, the sky is a really dark blue, and it hasn't stopped raining for like the past, say, 30 minutes. Since I live in California, that's really difficult, and it typically doesn't happen very often. So there's only been a handful of times where that's happened, and I've been like, yes, this is perfect, this is the vibe. But yeah, that's like my perfect fantasy vibe of like, I want this perfect experience to happen. in my fantasy, I think that I'm definitely reading something that is very magical, that is whimsical, and just brings you into the story and you get sucked in, and everything around you just like adds to that atmosphere. So I don't know if I have a specific book in mind, but it definitely isn't going to be a reread. I don't typically reread books physically anyway. My rereads tend to be over audiobook, so it definitely have to be a newer book, something that I haven't read yet. The next question is, where do you shop for clothes? I love your style, and thank you very much. I do have a couple of stores that I shop from, nothing like too crazy or out there or like inaccessible. I typically shop from like H&M, Target, Walmart, Old Navy. Those are like my core stores that I shop from. I also really like ASOS. I love browsing through their website. I think that they have a lot of really great deals. And I think that's about it. I don't really shop from a lot of different places. It can be kind of difficult to find my specific style in plus sizes. So, especially when I'm shopping at like Target or even Walmart and H&M as well, I will kind of go between the plus sizes and the straight sizes when I can. This that I'm wearing right now is from Walmart. It's like this striped sweater. It has these cute little buttons going down, and I really love it. I have it in two different colors, this one and like kind of a brown color, and I love them. They're very cozy and comfy, but if you do get them sized down at least one size, because they're huge, like, and I mean like they're genuinely really big. You don't even need to buy your normal size. I bought my normal size and it's way too big. I should have sized down. The next question is, what was your major and what is your career path now? So my major was an English major, and I just went to a city college. So I really want to transfer at some point. I really want to go to a 4-year college at some point. I don't know when that's going to happen. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it in person or online. So that's just kind of up in the air right now. And I still, of course, want to be an author. I think that that is always going to be the main end goal for me. And I'm still working towards that goal actively every single day. But I know that, you know, it's very rare, if not like completely impossible, to live off of an author's salary. So I definitely need to find something that I also enjoy that I can supplement my income with. So, you know, I really don't know at this point. I'm still looking for the thing that I really love to do that isn't writing. But if I can find another job that also involves writing, I mean, that would be wonderful. That'd be great. But I don't have a specific career path in mind. And the very last question is, what does a treat yourself day look like for you? And congrats on 7K. Thank you so much. My typical like treat yourself day is definitely, okay, so I would go to Target first, and I'd get to walk around and look at everything and buy a few things. I love walking around Target. It's so much fun. Even though my Target that's closest to me is kind of trash, I still love doing it. It's still so much fun. And then I would definitely go get a coffee. I don't know if I'd get it from Starbucks. I might get it from somewhere else, like that's a little bit more expensive than Starbucks. Unfortunately, I live in like a very touristy area, and all of our like independent coffee shops are extremely expensive, like more expensive than Starbucks. So in my area, Starbucks is the cheapest place to get coffee. So if I was gonna do a treat myself day, it would definitely be going to like a more independent coffee shop so I could get, you know, something a little bit more fancy, a little bit more expensive. And then I would probably go to my favorite independent bookstore, Chaucer's. I love them so much. And I would go there, I'd pick out as many books as I wanted to, and then I'd probably want to meet up with my best friend Emma, and we would go and have lunch and, you know, maybe go downtown or to the beach or something like that. I'd also really want to get a tattoo in that day, because I only have one tattoo and I feel like I'm really behind. So maybe we would squeeze in a trip to the tattoo parlor. I'd get another tattoo. It'd be so much fun. I'm really enjoying this treat yourself day. This is a lot of fun. I really want this to happen now. Or a much more simple treat yourself day would just be me going to Disneyland. So either one is totally fine with me. Alright, so those are all the questions that you all asked me, and thank you so much for sending me questions. I was really nervous and worried that nobody would send me a question, but I really enjoyed answering all of these, and I appreciate you all so much for supporting me and for subscribing to my channel. It means literally the entire world to me. I adore making videos. I love doing this. I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't love it. And I just love getting to sit in front of the camera and talk to you guys and just have this conversation, and it just feels like I'm sitting down with a friend and talking and getting to share our love of books. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Also go ahead and follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Goodreads, TikTok. All the links are down below. Oh, also Storygraph. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye!
Ooh, I thought it'd be me and you. Oh.